Welcome. You're listening to The Deep Dive, where we take your intricate sources and unpack them into clear, compelling insights. Today, we're embarking on a truly fascinating and, at times deeply moving deep dive. We've received this rich tapestry of experiences from you, our listener, a detailed case study of your family's spiritual and life journey, stretching across generations. It's a narrative filled with, well, both remarkable good fortune and some profound challenges.
Indeed. And this isn't just a family history, is it? It's a vivid illustration of how past actions, often called karma, can manifest in the present, sometimes in really surprising and impactful ways. Our mission today is to explore the specific questions you've raised about why certain events unfolded as they did, what led to both prosperity and suffering, and also the insights provided regarding the afterlife and the potential to influence our destiny. It's a powerful story. Resilience, belief, that intricate web of cause and effect.
Okay, so let's dive into it. You, our listener, are 31, you've got a master's in business administration, and you've given us this personal account involving your maternal grandparents, your mother, your younger siblings, and yourself. We'll be looking into the specific questions you ask about their lives, their destinies, and the answers that, well, shed light on the profound influence of karma. We're going to start with a really inspiring story of generosity, this legacy of land and giving. You describe your maternal grandmother and grandfather as incredibly charitable individuals, both with deep faith in Buddhism. Your grandmother, especially, was a skilled businesswoman, wasn't she? Amassing significant wealth, prime real estate. And what's truly remarkable is her practice of generously donating half-half of all her land sale proceeds directly to Buddhism. These contributions weren't just symbolic. They funded tangible public works like temple roads, new buildings, water tanks, even crematoriums.
Yeah, what's particularly striking there is your grandmother's foresight. The sources tell us she had this deep understanding that life was impermanent. She'd often emphasize the urgency of making merit, saying clearly, she didn't know how long she would live. This deep awareness, it really shaped her actions, her incredible commitment to charity.
But here's where it gets really interesting and perhaps a bit confusing on the surface. Despite her considerable generosity, her business acumen, your grandmother passed away young, just 42, from an enlarged heart. For you, our listener, this naturally begs the question, why such a short life? And that specific ailment, especially given all her good deeds, it feels counterintuitive, right?
It certainly does on the surface. But the answer provided, it connects to a past life, an agricultural society. In that life, she apparently bred and, well, killed animals for large feasts she hosted. And on top of that, she also overused draft animals, causing them suffering and exhaustion. So this past karma, causing suffering, overworking animals, directly led to the enlarged heart and the short life in this existence. However, and this is crucial, the story doesn't end there. Because of her extensive merit-making in her final life, all those donations, that faith, she was reborn as a female deity, a high-level one, with a golden celestial palace in Tavatimsa heaven, specifically Phase 2. Tavatimsa heaven, it's a celestial realm with different tiers, and Phase 2 reflects her accumulated merit. Plus, she also benefited greatly from the merits her family dedicated to her after she passed. That boosted her celestial wealth.
Wow. Okay, that's quite a journey outlined there, distinct paths. Now let's turn to your grandfather. He was a barber, you said. After his wife passed, he remarried, had another child. Later in life, at 60, he took a deeper spiritual path, became a lay leader, a pane, sort of a dedicated temple supporter. And even more remarkably, he actually ordained as a monk and stayed in the monkhood for 10 years. Passed away at 70, from old age, still in his robes.
So the natural follow-up is, where did his spiritual journey take him after passing? Well, he was reborn as a handsome male deity, also in Tavatim 7 like his wife, but in Phase 3, a higher tier than her. This higher phase was a direct result of the profound merit from those dedicated 10 years in the monkhood. And like his wife, he also received merits dedicated by the family, further enhancing his celestial situation. It's a really clear illustration of how sustained spiritual practice impacts things.
Okay, the story continues with your mother, our listener's mother, the fourth and youngest child. She inherited a significant plot of land, 20 ray, prime land, from her mother, and this land turned out to be an incredible asset. During a severe economic downturn when lots of people were struggling, she managed to sell portions of it for over 10 million baht. Used it to pay off debts, wiped out her worries. She also used sales from this land to fund her own donations, even co-sponsoring Katina ceremonies 2 years running. Those are big deals.
No, absolutely major merit-making opportunities.
And here's the kicker. She still possesses 16 Ray near the valuable Suvarnabhumi airport today.
Right. Which leads us to wonder, why did she get such valuable land? And why could she sell it so successfully, even in a crisis? The source material connects this directly back to a past life. She was also the grandmother's daughter then. And in that life, she apparently participated with great joy, real enthusiasm, in the land donations her mother was making. Their shared, heartfelt intention, giving together like that, it directly resulted in her receiving such valuable land this time around, a testament to that shared good deed.
This brings up a broader point, something I think many people wonder about. Why do some people end up with valuable land, prime locations, while others might have land way out in remote areas? Or maybe lots of land, but no proper legal titles?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it seems to relate to the intensity of joy and the purity of intention when making donations, especially land. If someone gives with, deep joy, real humility, a truly selfless heart, the result tends to be prime, valuable land in a future life. But if there's maybe an underlying sense of pride or perhaps a feeling of doing the recipient a favor, then the land might manifest in a remote or less desirable area. It sort of reflects that spiritual remoteness or the subtle impurity in the intention. And for those with land but no title, that's often attributed to regret after the donation was made. Like the act was done, but there was this lingering sense of loss or second guessing. That limits the full fruition of the merit, resulting in land without proper papers. Subtle but significant karmic outcomes.
Okay, that makes sense. Now we shift to what is perhaps the most poignant and, challenging part of this deep dive. Your younger sister. She sounds truly brilliant. Master's in mechanical engineering, always top of her class, yet this academic brilliance was shadowed by profound anxiety. You mentioned that in high school she was put in a gifted king's class, this accelerated program. But she became so stressed about not performing well, she actually had to see a psychiatrist, and eventually went back to her regular class.
Right. So the question that naturally follows is, what karma led to this combination? Exceptional intelligence, but also this really debilitating anxiety. Her academic success, the sources explain, comes from being naturally studious in past lives. That, plus merits from supporting education for others. Makes sense. Her anxiety, though, is attributed to a residual karma from past alcohol consumption and hosting drinking parties. Apparently, sometimes when intoxicated in those lives, she'd become verbally aggressive. And that now manifests in this life as being easily stressed, anxious, suffering from insomnia. A direct consequence playing out.
Wow. Okay. And her career choices after graduation, they reveal another layer of this struggle, don't they? Master's in engineering, but she takes an accounting job first, earns decent money, over 20K belt a month, but quits after just 1 month. Says it didn't challenge her intellect. So then she takes this highly complex research position, something usually needing a PhD, studying the surface tension of steel. But there she faced constant belittling from colleagues, mocking her youth, her appearance.
Awful.
Yeah, comments like, is this an engineer or an undertaker? Or saying she didn't look single. Just terrible stuff. This led to immense stress. She quit after just 2 months, became withdrawn, started showing severe mental distress, insomnia, stomping her feet, shouting things like, don't bother me.
And for you, our listener, this just begs the question. Why did she keep choosing these incredibly challenging jobs that led to such stress? What caused that profound mental anguish and ultimately her tragic end? The source explains that in the past life, she was a male academic, had many students, and he deliberately challenged one talented but arrogant student with extremely difficult tasks. Then, he'd harshly criticize him if he failed. The intention wasn't really to teach, it was more to break the student's spirit. That student eventually left, just couldn't take the pressure. So that past karma caused her to seek out difficult, challenging work in this life, and then experience the resulting debilitating stress. The cycle of cause and effect is incredibly clear there.
That's a profound connection. So what does this all mean for her ultimate tragedy? On November 1st, 2005, she tragically died by suicide, hanged herself in her room. She left a note saying she couldn't bear the suffering anymore. Your family, with incredible presence of mind, immediately started making merits, meditating for her, a truly commendable act of love in such grief.
Yes, and the source reveals a powerful, almost chilling karmic connection to her final act. In that same past life as the male teacher, he also apparently killed animals for snacks to go with alcohol. And when chastising less intelligent students, he would often say things like, if you can't do it, go hang yourself.
Oh, no.
Yes. And one student, unfortunately, took his words literally and actually committed suicide. So this combined karma, causing suffering to animals, and inadvertently leading a student to suicide through harsh words, it all came to fruition. tragically resulting in her own suicide in this life. It's just a stark reminder of the power of our words and actions, isn't it?
Absolutely devastating. So what about the hauntings she experienced before she passed and her brother's dream? You mentioned that 3 days after her passing, her brother dreamt she shook him awake. You wondered if she was, truly haunting them.
Right. The hauntings she experienced before her death, the source clarifies, were actually symptoms of her severe mental distress, a manifestation of that alcohol-related karma, not external spirits messing with her. Regarding the dream, though yes, the source confirms it was real. For 7 days after her death, she existed as a wandering spirit, sort of bound near the family. And during that time, she heard her mother and sister making merits, reciting the principles of karma and rebirth. Because she heard this, and because she received those dedicated merits, her potential path to the lower realms was closed off. Instead, she was reborn as a terrestrial deity, an intermediate-level earth yaksha, sometimes described as a nature spirit or guardian, the dream. That was her attempting to check if she was truly dead, and maybe trying to communicate to her brother that the mental torment she felt in life was gone. She was, in her words, healed, confirming her new state and conveying relief.
That offers some comfort, I suppose. You also shared a remarkable story about your father. He suffered a cerebral hemorrhage, had to be hospitalized. However, after you and your mother meditated and prayed to the Venerable Master, your father made a full recovery in just 3 days, which is amazing. You ask if the Venerable Master's power was the sole cause.
Yes, indeed. A remarkable recovery. The source suggests it was a confluence of several powerful factors coming together. Firstly, his own past good karma, specifically with the monastic community. Secondly, the immense spiritual power of the Venerable Master himself, absolutely. Thirdly, merits he had made through public charity work in the past. And critically, the focused meditation and prayers from you, his daughter, and your wife. All these forces combined converged to bring about that rapid, almost miraculous recovery. Not just one thing, but everything working together.
Okay, so this leads us to consider, how can you help your father, who you describe as highly scientific-minded, maybe come to believe in the reality of karma, merit, the afterlife? He relies on logic, empirical evidence.
That's a common challenge. Since he's a person of logic and reason, the best approach suggested is to explain these concepts, maybe using principles he understands, analogies from science perhaps. Find spiritual friends, maybe, who can discuss these things on that level. Frame spiritual laws in ways that resonate with a logical mind. But crucially, encourage him to try meditation himself. Experiential understanding is often the most powerful route for an intellectual mind to grasp spiritual truths, especially since, the source indicates, he already has a karmic connection with the monastic community from past lives. His mind might be more inclined than he realizes.
Interesting. Okay, finally, let's turn to your personal questions, listener. You and your mother have made significant merits with the monastic community. You have good meditation progress. But you're concerned because a local monk predicted you might have bad luck in relationships, potential deception, maybe marrying late. You ask if this is set in stone and what merits you can make to overcome it.
Right, the question of fate versus free will in relationships. Many wonder about predictions like this. The sources suggest it's actually beneficial to be aware of such predictions, not as doom, but as something that fosters mindfulness, encourages caution. It's framed as a reminder to accumulate even more merits, to strengthen your positive karma. The ultimate goal in this life, especially on a spiritual path, is framed as building perfections, not necessarily just finding a partner. However, if you do seek a partner, the advice is clear. Choose one with equal faith, equal precepts, equal right view. Find someone aligned spiritually. And here's where the advice gets a little humorous, but also quite pointed. Is such an ideal partner, someone wealthy, handsome, subservient, who cooks, cleans, buys cars, drives you, always speaks pleasing words if that person doesn't exist.
Which sounds pretty rare.
Exactly. Then practicing celibacy is presented as a perfectly valid, even preferable option. It really highlights the importance of choosing very wisely, or perhaps dedicating oneself wholeheartedly to spiritual growth instead. What this family's entire journey profoundly reveals is how karma seems to operate with this astonishing precision. Connecting specific past actions, things like animal cruelty, overworking others, even just thoughtless, harsh words, to equally specific outcomes later on. Yet it equally demonstrates the immense power of our present actions, especially pure-hearted giving, dedicated spiritual practice. These things can not just soften past burdens, but potentially redirect destiny entirely towards peace, towards better states, even celestial realms.
Indeed. This whole deep dive into one family's story, your story, listener, it powerfully illustrates how every thought, word, and deed, really, no matter how small, it sends ripples through time, shaping our present and future experiences. It's a powerful call, isn't it? To cultivate good intentions, good actions in every moment. Understanding that our destiny isn't fixed, it's an ongoing creation. So, for you listening, what insights will you take from this incredibly complex tapestry of karma, compassion, and the profound impact of our choices? How might these stories perhaps inspire your own path forward? Thank you for joining us on this illuminating deep dive. We hope it's offered you a fresh perspective and maybe some truly impactful insights to consider. Until next time, keep diving deep into knowledge.